welcome to K Sports Sunday. I'm Alex Barth. Today we're going to talk a little bit of everything from around the sports world on May 1st, 2011. We got Red Sox, Celtics, Patriots, Bruins, some playoffs. Also, we're going to talk a little cheerleading and some other here's and there's. So let's get started. First, we're going to go to the Red Sox, who played the Mariners today. They lost the first two games this series, looking to try to take one, avoid the sweep in Game 3 with Tim Wakefield on the mound, the rubber match of the game. Let's check out some of the highlights. Here in the third inning, David Ortiz, the game tied 0-0, puts one off the monster. There were runners on first and second. That puts the Red Sox up to a 2-0 lead. But Bobby Jenks would not be hold on to this lead. Walks two runners later on in the seventh inning that ties the game up. But then in the ninth, looking to get some revenge. As you see, David Ortiz off to this hot start. Wanted him to be here in the ninth. Carl Crawford singles up the middle following a Jed Lowrie triple. Jed Lowrie comes in a score. Red Sox win 3-2. So despite Bobby Jenks almost blowing the game, Tim Wakefield pitching very well, but only getting to the sixth, the Red Sox able to pull up the run and avoid the sweep. We're joined by Max, who we got over there, Adam and Nick. And Max, let's start with you. You've been very adamant about the Red Sox inabilities early in the season. Last time we talked, they had won 5 in a row. Now they've lost a couple in a row. What do you have to say?
Well, I still don't think there's any turnaround. You guys all laughed at me last week when I said the winning was a fluke and that it was gonna stop, and you guys all said, "Oh, you know, it's for real, the 100-win team, greatest team ever," something like that. But this team just doesn't seem to have it right now. They're on this big winning streak, and then they come back and they lose 2 out of 3 to Baltimore, and then they lose 2 out of 3 to Seattle and need a walk-off win after a great pitching performance by Tim Wakefield to end up winning the game. It just doesn't seem like it's all coming together. Some nights it's the pitching. More recently, it's been the clutch hitting. I don't really know the specifics of what's wrong with this team right now. They're just not the team we expected them to be, and my opinion hasn't changed since the beginning of the year.
I think they seem to be a little bit better than the beginning of the year because they have won a little. But you're right. I mean, really, they had that good streak, which is why they're not the worst team in the league. But really, some nights, as you said, I think mostly it's because the bullpen, specifically Bobby Jenks, has been really ineffective. Their starting pitching sometimes is really good, other times is really bad. The hitting sometimes can bring them to win a game, but also sometimes they seem they just can't put together a run. So the entire team is really inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree with the bullpen part because usually in these games where they've lost, they built a lead, and as you said, Bobby Jenks or a type of reliever before the ninth inning, not named John Papelbon, would blow the lead. And oftentimes, this has led the offense to be dysfunctional late in the game, so I think that's what's causing the Red Sox, that they do not believe their team can hold the lead.
A guy like Bobby Jenks, we've seen had some success in the past, but a lot of times when a pitcher will struggle, the trick is to pitch him more in order to let him get out of his slump. Is it worth right now for the Red Sox losing all these games to take the risk, work Bobby Jenks back into a good groove, or is he done for the year? Is it not worth recovering him?
No, well, you definitely have to keep pitching him, keep throwing him out there in clutch situations, because he's a much better pitcher than he's shown so far. He was a great pitcher on the White Sox, one of the top closers in the league, won the World Series in 2005. He's just been a great player of his career, and he's shown that he can do it. He's just a little bit off right now. He even shaved his beard before the game today to try to change up some of the stuff that's been going on with him. But he's a little bit off, and the only way to get him back into a normal routine is to keep pitching him, even if it means giving up a few runs every once in a while.
As much as it's not an ideal situation, that's the only way that you can really work him back into a groove because he's consistently blowing leads, but you have to stick him through. I believe Terry Francona did that with Dustin Pedroia earlier in his career, and look how it's turned out. I mean, I'm not going to say that he's going to turn out and be the best pitcher, but you're right. You have to keep working him out there, keep telling him what to do, and see if one of these days he's going to turn out and have a great pitching performance, and then get back into the spot where he is the great pitcher that he's shown that he can be.
I think you have to play him more, but not as much as you have during this time. Because I did not like when the Red Sox signed him because that year before he had really struggled with the White Sox. So this slump he's on where he consistently blows leads, oftentimes I think it's because he believes he should be the closer or he just can't find a spot on this team. So I think you play him a little less, but you still play him a lot to get him out of his we'll call it, slump.
Well, some people have a hard time adjusting to being a setup man once they were a closer, but I really think that Bobby Jenks will be able to develop into a strong setup man. But I do agree with your point that he probably would like to be the closer on a team, feels like he's still able to be the closer and close games for teams. So I think it's very interesting that he's struggling a little bit in his first year not as a closer, and that'll be something to look forward to the rest of the year. Keep an eye on it if he keeps struggling and see what happens with his potential for next year, whether he goes back to being a closer or not.
Another pitcher who surprised us early this season, Daisuke Matsuzaka, kind of the other way around, a guy who a lot of people thought wouldn't be on the team at the trade deadline point this year, assumed he'd be in the minors right now. But he started a little shaky, but his last 2 starts, he's pitched one-hitters, really 8-inning one-hitters. Is this just he's gotten lucky a couple times, or is this the guy we paid $100 million for?
You know, I hate to say it, but I think he's just gotten lucky a couple of times. I mean, he's been here 5 years, been here since 2007, and we've never seen anything special out of him, anything that would make us go, wow, this guy is great. He could be the best pitcher in the entire world. And it just doesn't make sense that he comes in 5 years after he comes to America, and amazingly, he's just the best pitcher in the league. I think it's a little bit of a fluke, a little bit because he had a 6-day rest, which they used to do in Japan for him, and before his Patriots Day game, he had a 6-day rest. But I think it's very interesting to see what he's done so far, but I think it's a little bit of a fluke, and we're overplaying it by saying he's going to be a great pitcher this year.
I think that I actually do think that he's. I don't think so much of a fluke, but I don't think that he's going to be this good throughout the rest of the season. I don't think that some of it is that he's just having a good year this year. I mean, he hasn't had good years in the past, as you said, but sometimes pitchers turn around and have a special year. Maybe this is just a one-year thing, or maybe you're right. Maybe it is just a fluke. I think it's partly a fluke, but I think it's mostly that he's just having a good couple of starts, and hopefully he can keep it up. Otherwise, the Red Sox are going to have a tough time.
I say it's a fluke because he's pitched against bad hitting teams, and let's face it, over these last 2 games, Daisuke has taken longer to pitch than he has before. And that has caused the hitters, in my opinion, if you look at it, to become impatient. Often I hear a lot of swinging and see a lot of swinging at his pitches. They don't usually swing a lot with Daisuke.
Also, if you see some of the pitch zones they've shown between the games, you'll see that all of Daisuke's outs have been pop-ups to the outfield. And it's very interesting because fly ball pitchers usually end up struggling because they leave a pitch out in the middle that they just expect to be popped up, and it could be easily hit out of the park. They were even showing some pitch zones on NESN and ESPN showing that Daisuke did make a lot of mistakes in those games, leaving pitches out over the middle, but hitters were just missing them and popping them up to the outfield. So it's very risky for a fly ball pitcher, but if he continues on the streak right now, then everything's okay.